Hey, I'm here on my lunch break to try out the BlackBerry Trimble Outdoors phone geocaching GPS device. So I'm going to give it a try to find out if it is actually good for geocaching. One thing I found out right away is if you have it on for any certain period of time and you don't touch any buttons, the screen goes black, which is a bad thing, because especially when you're geocaching. Maybe not so bad if you're trying to save energy and you're just using it as a cell phone, of course, but as far as geocaching, when you're walking around with it, you constantly have to touch a button. There's probably a setting buried somewhere where I have to go find how to make sure that the image doesn't go off, the screen doesn't go off, but of course that would drain batteries as much as well. So we're going to be reviewing this device and finding out if it's a good geocaching device. One thing I realized as I went around is there's, just like a GPS receiver, there's different screens, and one of them has just an arrow, which is makes it tough to navigate around a city, figuring out which streets to go in. So I went to the map view, and unfortunately the map view didn't have a map. It was like a blank screen that only had where I currently was and where the final destination was as a little dot. It didn't actually have a map in the map view. So I had to go into the menu, kind of pull over for a little bit, dig around and find that there was actually ways to download topo maps and sort of like photo maps, or I guess satellite views, and then actually what I wanted, which was a street map. So once I got that turned on, I could see how to get to the cache that I was looking for, and it was a good thing because there's only one street in, and so that's very helpful, whereas a single arrow is not. The buttons are really small, as you can see on there, to navigate around, and there's other unidentified buttons on this thing that I have yet to experiment with. But we're going to go find, we're pretty close to ground zero right now. We're going to go try to find this local urban cache on my lunch hour, and we'll see if I'm successful or not with this new device. Let's see. I was actually successful here. By just using this, I was able to find the cache, which is right there. I don't know if you can see it. Right there. So, the first attempt at using the Trimble geocaching device phone actually worked. Paid off. I'm going to go sign the log now. One of the first things I'm noticing is that it's more like a phone than a GPS. It doesn't have any like rubberized grips or anything, and it's kind of that, high-techy, glossy, slick feel. And it's great for like geocaching during lunchtime because it is a cell phone after all. I don't even have to pretend and do the muggle deception technique. The bad thing is it may not be so great for like walking around rivers and accidentally dropping it into something like a lake or a pond or whatnot. But it seems to be a functioning device. The GPS actually works, so it actually has some kind of GPS capability, and it's not just using the cell phone triangulation technique. It's actually pretty accurate as far as getting close to ground zero and getting you really close to the cache. Once again, though, I don't really particularly like the fact that it feels more like an electronic, non-durable, non-ruggedized device than the GPS that I'm used to anyway. So this is just a quick visual overview of the device itself. As you can see, it's the size of a typical handheld BlackBerry smartphone type device. The application I'm currently using is the GPS geocache navigation, and there's several different screens. There's sort of like a little roller button here which you use to navigate. This first screen is the least useful of all, and that is the screen that it's called radar, and all it does is show you how close you are to the actual cache. The next screen is the one that we're all used to, which has the arrow, and it shows you how close you are. And I found that it was rather accurate, actually. It worked just like I expected a GPS to work, and it got me to ground zero just fine. The next screen is the screen that now has a map. Now that I've set the map background to be on, by default it was just all a gray background, and I could see where I was and where the cache was, but no detail in between. This final screen is actually rather helpful. It has the cache detail. If you roll up and down, you can get some of the cache detail on the pages, and in this particular case it was also helpful to me because it gave me some information about this particular cache. So the cool thing is I can use this to find caches near me, and then when I hit enter and say where I would like to find the caches, it actually just downloads those caches into the device so I can go hunting for them. And then, of course, I can use the details page. And since you're out caching, it also has a camera phone on the back, so you can take pictures of you know, the cache itself, or maybe if it's one of those scenic views and you want to capture that there, you can use that camera phone. And there you go. See, I didn't touch any buttons for a little while, and as you can see, the screen has gone completely black, which is it was kind of annoying while, you know, either just walking around looking for which direction should I look, and then I look down and it's completely dark, and you have to press any button in order to get the screen back. So there's a real quick overview, very briefly, of what the device looked like and some of the features on the geocaching application.